25 meeting of the Recreation and Education Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Bartholomew McCoy.
Here.
Ms. Bartholomew McCoy is present. Chairman Baines.
Here.
Chairman Baines is present. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman.
Present.
Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman is present. Ms. Hasman.
Here.
Ms. Hasman is present. Mr. Johns.
Here.
Mr. Johns is present. Mr. McCabe.
Present.
Mr. McCabe is present. Mr. Sinclair.
Here.
Mr. Sinclair is present.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
No, there's not.
Well, I'm delighted to introduce for her final presentation this evening, Jennifer Cesario, Chief Financial Officer of Monroe County, who will present the 2026 proposed budget as it pertains to the Recreation and Ed Committee.
Good evening. The Rec and Ed Committee's purview, as you all know, consists of the Parks Department, MCC, the Rochester Monroe County Library System, and authorized agencies. Appropriations included in the 2026 proposed budget are $82.3 million, a slight decrease of $700,000 from the 2025 adopted budget, and almost entirely related to the Parks Department. Thank you. So we're focusing on the Department of Parks here. Net county support in the 2026 proposed Parks Department budget is decreasing $1.9 million compared to the 2025 adopted budget, in part a result of increase in revenues of $1.1 million with modest fee increases to shelter rentals, greens fees, and zoo entrance fees. Payroll and benefits increased $756,000 with the slight decreases in temporary help, $102,000, and overtime of $10,000. Other changes within this department, cash funding, I said that this earlier tonight, cash funding for capital projects has been decreased. This is just, this was a tough budget this year, and cash funding for capital projects has been decreased in many of the county departments. Parks also saw a decrease in debt service of $759,000, and capital leases, which was its own line in the budget at one point of $415,000. That has been moved to contractual services in 2026. Otherwise, other lines within contractual services are reduced by $256,000. Moving on to MCC. The cost of supporting higher education includes our sponsor contribution to MCC, the debt service we pay on MCC capital projects, and what we pay other community colleges when our student residents enroll in other counties' colleges. Monroe County's sponsor contribution to MCC is increasing by $250,000, and that is a result of the resolution number 258 of 2025 voted on by this honorable body. There is a corresponding $250,000 increase to the MCC residency chargeback. MCC debt service decreases by $112,000, and revenue for parking fees also increases. This is related to the number of full-time equivalent students. There's 8,000 estimated in this budget, times a $50 parking fee, that equals $400,000. Shifting gears to the library system support, spending increases by $125,000 or 1%. Net county support comes out a little higher also and is comprised of our payment to the city for central services and the county's cash capital contribution for library information services. And last but not least, is our financial support for arts, cultural, and educational agencies. These agencies are supported to a large extent by hotel occupancy taxes, but also by real property taxes. This year's net county support is essentially flat with a decrease of only $1,500. There is also a reduction of $86,500 with in arts, cultural, and educational entities in the appropriations. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director, Chief Financial Officer Cesario. And I'll open the floor to questions. Legislator Sinclair.
Yes, through the chair. On page 102 of the 2025 budget packet, it's noted under 25 of the 2025 major objectives that the library will review the logo and the overall branding strategy. However, on page 99 of the 2026 budget packet, this objective is not listed as having been completed. This objective is also not listed under the 2026 major objectives. What's the reason for this?
Through the chair, we're going to have to get back to you on that question.
To be disciplined, can we, the first segment, we'll just talk about the library, then we can go one segment at a time? Is that the way you guys are organized? Can we stick with the library, then we're done with the library, we'll move to MCC? Good, okay. Go ahead, Legislator Sinclair.
Thank you. Through the chair, on page 618, cultural and educational services, why are the agency contracts increased by $160,000?
Well, that didn't work.
Through the chair, that line represents the amount we pay Rochester Public Library. So that would be for salaries and benefits for staff at the library. Plus, we've increased a historian contract by $5,000.
Thank you. Let's see, and through the chair, on page 716, Cultural and Education Services, Monroe Community College, why the $250,000 increase in the MCC chargebacks, and what are they for?
Through the chair, that is related to the appropriation that was authorized by this honorable body earlier this year. They increased the budget to MCC by $250,000.
I yield.
Thank you, Legislator. On the issue of, I guess we're gonna jump around. We're gonna try to, let's see if we can kind of stick with the library. If you're not organized that way, okay. But other questions that relate to, let's go back to that first question of the library services. And while you're looking, let me ask a question, please. I have a deep interest in history, and I was reading the budget on the history department and the historian, and I read the description of the activities about the collection. I know we moved the collection. Can we get an update on the status of our historian? What initiatives are taking place? How large is the department?
Through the chair, we'll get back to you on that question as well.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
I just want to point out, there is nobody here from the library, so that's limiting our ability to answer this appropriately. So that's why we'll be getting back to you with questions like that.
Thanks for letting us know that. So are there any other questions that relate to the library? We can cycle back to it. Okay, so why don't we move on to parks? And we'll go with you, Legislator McCabe.
Thank you, Chairman Baines. Through the chair, what percentage of the Parks Department budget is mandated versus non-mandated?
Through the chair, I did not bring that information with me tonight, but I will provide that to you.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, what plans are there to increase zoo attendance before the project at the zoo is completed?
Through the chair, Bob Lee, Zoo Superintendent. We have a full calendar of events in 2026, unlike what we've had this year, and we have a coordinated marketing and communication plan to get the word out to folks to bring them to the zoo.
Can we get, as a follow-up to that question, can the legislature get a copy of those events as you get them scheduled?
Through the chair, absolutely.
Thank you. And through the chair, just another zoo question. Could you provide us with an update on the Seneca Park Zoo Society's fundraising goal for the zoo improvement project?
Through the chair, at this time, 8.7 million.
And as a follow-up to that, through the chair, what was their goal for the project?
Through the chair, 23 million.
Thank you. Through the chair, are there any plans to make golf once again a net positive revenue generator rather than requiring funding? I'm assuming the answer is on page 230 with the revenue generating by increasing the golf for $2 a weekday, weekends, permit play. And now holidays are added into the weekend prices. I'm assuming that's probably it, or am I way off?
Through the chair, the goal would be to do that. We're still in 2026. The net county support for golf is $208,000.
So as a follow-up to that, those extra charges, like the $2 for weekdays, weekends for permit play, those charges plus the golf fees, the holiday weekend prices for golf fees, we're hoping that narrows that gap. Is that the plan to get more even, I guess?
Through the chair. So the amended budget for 25, we had net county support of 341. So we are reducing the net county support. It's just, not zero yet.
Thank you. Through the chair on page 231, why are Fridays added to the 10% increase in cost for running a lodge? Well, in 2025, it was only Saturdays and Sundays.
Through the chair, that is a change for the upcoming fiscal year. So that increased fee for Friday being a weekend rental is one that's in keeping with local municipalities here that also have that same policy.
Very good. And through the chair, why is the director of parks now authorized to adjust lodge and shelter classifications as necessary to reflect current lodge and shelter conditions?
Through the chair, there are times where the department will make upgrades to facilities, renovate them entirely. One that occurred in 2025 was Knollwood Lodge at Northampton Park. Originally, it was I'd have to check my notes specifically, but it was a very low rated lodge, a 1 or 2 star facility to which we invested $1.5 million, increasing that to a very nice lodge. And as such, we were unable within the budget to increase the price. So any individual that rented that facility for years in advance too, had that ability to rent that at a extremely discounted price. So this would allow that flexibility during those times when a lodge is radically renovated, thus increasing the overall fee that we'd like to see at that facility.
And I guess since we're on that topic as a follow-up through the chair, is that why the Roger Robot Community Center got added as a Platinum Lodge for 26 versus it was a Deluxe Lodge for 25? And I guess what creates that classification between Deluxe and Platinum?
Yeah, so, excuse me, through the chair, our platinum lodges, we tend to see more as wedding venues. Wedding venues being extremely desirable here in the Rochester area. The Parks Department is extremely economical. And as a result, the Robox Center was increasingly seen as a wedding venue. Thus, we moved that to that platinum facility. In addition, upgrades to the lower level bathrooms, HVAC, on the top level, were also improvements made to that facility.
And as a follow-up through the chair, can you remind me how many different classifications of lodges there are? I mean, obviously there's Platinum and Deluxe, and I have a question coming about Signature Lodges. So what other classifications, I guess, are there?
Through the chair, it's quite a lot. Platinum, Deluxe, Signature, Premium. And then we also have 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star. There's been a great
Can you tell me the
discussion.
difference between each one?
Yes. There has been internal discussion of trying to reorganize these into a maybe less cumbersome 9 series of systems, of rating of lodges. However, at this time, we're moving forward with this budget, certainly have additional opportunity maybe in the future.
All right, and then my next 2 questions through the chair to you are going to be, I guess, similar in a sense from my understanding is the Thomas Grasso Lodge at Grease Canal Park and the Olmsted Lodge at Highland were classified as Signature in 26 after being premium lodges in 25. I guess why were they downgraded? They're not wedding venues or I guess.
The Thomas Grasso, pardon me, through the chair, in review of some of our other facilities that have come online, Knollwood Lodge, Future Canatota Lodge, and Webster, we went back and revisited all of the existing lodges that have a similar capacity, similar amenities, and then made adjustments. And so the Thomas Grasso Lodges, as you know, was shifted into the Signature Lodge, as well as Olmsted Lodge. Olmsted being certain days it's a premium lodge, and others it is not, due to the fact that our offices at the Parks Department co-reside with that location.
And this is kind of a follow-up to, I think you said 9 different lodge classifications. The Knollwood Lodge through the chair was upgraded to a premium lodge after being a 4-star. I guess what's the difference between a 4-star and a premium, I guess?
Through the chair, the Knollwood Lodge at Northampton Park underwent a very radical transformation. The existing building is now actually the labor center for staff members at that location, a former non-accessible location, multi-level. You had to go outside to use the restrooms. The new Knollwood Lodge, fully accessible, brand new parking lot, brand new amenities, interior, of course, with a air conditioning unit, which the old lodge did not. So significant upgrades. And this is the
Okay.
example that we gave for that need to shift mid-year at times when radical changes to lodges occur.
Thank you. And through the chair, why do adult, seniors, and youth ticket prices at Seneca Park Zoo each increase by $2?
Through the chair, the Seneca Park Zoo remains one of the most affordable zoos and museums locally in our area. It is cheaper than the Strong Museum of Play, Rochester Museum and Science Center, George Eastman Museum, the Memorial Art Gallery, even the Rochester and Genesee Valley Railroad Museum. This increase of $2 across the board at the zoo Still has us cheaper than the Buffalo Zoo and the Aquarium of the Niagara. And is in keeping with a phased approach as Tropics comes online to kind of close that gap between our local competition, if you will.
Thank you. And why did tent sites, trailer sites, and RV camper sites fees increase by $10 each as well?
Through the chair, a very similar response here for in keeping with our competition. This at the state level with state campgrounds. The fees associated with the campgrounds have not increased in some time. And so we thought it at this time prudent to have an increase for.
Thank you. And then why were gaming through the chair? Why were gaming, inflatables, trucks, mobile games, and other attractions added to miscellaneous fees? And did we make additions somewhere else for these attractions?
Through the chair, these fees occur for individuals who are renting lodges, facilities that are going to be installing these devices. Certainly, there is staff time associated with it, both internal, the administration, getting certificates of insurance, et cetera, and then staff time in the field. The increases are associated with that staff time.
And then as a follow-up through the chair, I'm assuming that's why special use fees were also added for like video, photo shoots, commercial and non-commercial videos. And what determines the price on those?
Through the chair, apologies for the delay there.
No worries.
These are existing fees that were just not reflected within the budget book. Appreciate the team here.
And as a follow-up, what determines the prices for each of those?
Through the chair, we can get you that information. These fees have been around for some time, so we'd want to look into that
Okay,
information for you.
thank you, sir. And through the chair, why did dog park permits increase by $6.26?
Through the chair, that increase from $24 to $30 is reflected within the 2026 budget. The existing dog park fees have not increased since the dog parks were created back in 2013. Ultimately, since then, we have increased the number of amenities, number of dog parks, both that the county owns and operates and that we have partnerships with local municipalities for. As a result, we found it prudent to have a $6 increase here. Ultimately, the vast majority of our dog park users, over 3,000 of them, will likely renew under the 2025 budget, which is right now. That renewal process is ongoing. And ultimately, it will be a phased-in approach in October of next year with the new fee pending this body's honorable referral and unanimous designation for it, approval. So it would be a 2026 October rollout of this new fee structure.
Okay. And then through the chair on page 235, why was the estimated field days reserved by seasonal multi-day requests at 3,704 down from the 4,500 estimate made in 2025? And do we have confidence we'll be able to reach this estimate as it is also the same projected for 25 and 26?
Through the chair, legislator, could you repeat that question? I'm sorry, sir.
Sure, no worries. The estimated field days reserved by seasonal and multi-day requests was at 3,704, down from the 4,500 estimate made in 2025. Do we have confidence we'll be able to reach this estimate as it's the same for both 25 and 26. Page 235, I believe.
Through the chair, we'll get back to you with an answer on that one. I want to
Okay.
double check and make sure we get you the accurate information.
Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Legislator McCabe, for a lot of very pertinent questions, and I appreciate all the responses. I'd like to just remind anybody who's speaking to just name your title and provide your title and name. Because I think people are listening at home, they want to know who's talking. So a couple quick questions before we move on as follow-up to Legislator McCabe. Could you describe, Mr. Kiley or anyone, what your process is in terms of reviewing? And you gave us a lot of granular detail, but I'm talking about a high overview of what's your process as you review your pricing, as you consider what is equitable and appropriate to charge for the facilities. Share with us who's involved. Do you have a committee? Do you have one person handling it? What metrics or decision-making matrix you might use about, again, reclassifying a facility, altering a price point. And then do you look at, I don't want to put too many questions together at once, but do you look at how much investment we've made in particular facilities? I think you've already said you do, but how do you measure that? Do you try to amortize the investment by fees? And then finally, do you look at the market? I mean, there's a golf market, there's a wedding venue market, there's a venue market, if you will. So can you kind of give us a high level overview so everybody understands how you do it, how you make these decisions?
Bob Kiley, Deputy Director here for County Parks. Chairman, absolutely. There is an extensive review that occurs. I guess I'll handle your questions backwards. With regard to lodges, greens fees, fees at the zoo, I think for the Parks Department, really our whole executive team comes together to review these. This would be division heads in addition to the administration team for the department. Constant review of what our colleagues are doing, both at the state level, at the town level, for lodges specifically, and wedding venues. You can see that both on the public and private sector for what those costs and fees are. Specific to the zoo, I rattled off several that we kind of benchmark locally here, and then of course Buffalo, Syracuse at those zoos and aquariums. So there is a significant brain trust and brain power that goes into making these decisions, making these recommendations, pardon me, for fee increases. I think at the golf level, the investments, and Chairman, you mentioned this, the investments made through the Go Outside Monroe initiative are felt throughout the park system, from continuous golf cart paths to brand new golf carts to rent, to the resodding and regrading of multiple holes and drainage, not only at Durand Eastman, but irrigation out at Churchville, drainage, extensive drainage at Durand, as I mentioned. So I think as you look at the improvements across the park system, at golf, you start to look at how affordable we are as a municipal golf organization. And that's balanced with cost for salary and benefits for staff members, the cost of commodities and materials to maintain, and the outright purchase or rental of equipment to maintain the spaces. This body has seen the cost of equipment increase significantly. I'll go back to golf. Our lease for maintenance equipment nearly doubled several years ago. And so these are impacts that fiscally hit the county and the department, of course. And ultimately, we try to provide recommendations to balance those for the general public as well. Making sure that we are still one of the most economically viable and fiscally responsible organizations within the parks realm.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And could you, as again, following up on Legislator McCabe's questions, and this, my question itself, can you talk a little bit about feedback that you receive from users? Do you incorporate user feedback in your decision making?
To the chairman, absolutely. As you'd imagine, the Parks Department gets a great deal of feedback.
Do you have a formal process or does it just come over the transom?
For lodges, to the chairman, for lodges and shelters, that was too funny. I had to say it. For lodges and shelters, automatically after reservation, at the completion of the reservation, a survey is immediately emailed to the patrons. We look for feedback on the lodge itself, on friendliness of staff, cleanliness of the facility, et cetera. With regard to golf, we have a great deal of leagues that are that offer us a variety of feedback. And the Durand's Men's Club at Durand Eastman Golf Course, really one of the key reasons why the extensive drainage projects are underway at hole 2, 9, 15, 11, 13, and part of 14. We have user groups that provide us feedback throughout the park system, from trails that are in need of maintenance to bridges that have collapsed. So we garner feedback from a great deal and a great variety of both user groups, general patrons, and individuals who are just park users.
And you actually have an advisory committee, the Parks Advisory Committee, where committed individuals give you feedback as well. Just wanted to make sure you completed the question because I've been to some of those meetings. Finance Officer Cesario, can we go back to the very first point you made, and can you give us the difference that is in the net cost for the parks? You did this already, but I want to put this number in the foreground. What is the difference in the net cost of our parks department for 2026 projected over 2025 based on these increased fees?
To you, Mr. Chairman, the net county support for 2026 for the Parks Department is $16,490,680. That is a decrease from the 2025 adopted budget, which was $18,393,941.
Thank you. I think that's significant. In fact, last year we talked about the fact that everybody pays. And how do we get a relationship between the users, how much they pay, less than market, and then the net cost is borne by the whole county to provide the amenities. So that's really helpful data. Yeah, so on the issue of parks, other questions? Legislator Bartholomew McCoy.
Yes, through the chair, on the Parks Administration, page 602, could you just share with us what the major cause of the $500,000 decrease in the total provision projects was?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is related to cash capital funding that we have decreased throughout the county budget this year. Unfortunately, it's a result of some tough decisions that we had to make within the budget, and we really wanted to limit the use of general fund balance, so that the result is a reduction here.
Yeah, yields. Okay.
Legislator McCabe.
I have a few personnel questions. On page, they are all, I believe, on page 736. Through the chair, why has the position of executive secretary to the director of parks been removed?
Through the chairman, The position was eliminated as a position of a senior staff assistant was brought into the department. So the senior staff assistant to grade 19 and the executive secretary position being eliminated to bring that in from planning.
Okay, that was my follow-up question is the senior staff assistant, so thank you. And through the chair, why did the supervisors of aquatic life and support facilities increase from group 13 to 14?
Through the chairman, at a grade 12, we actually posted this position and did not receive any qualified applicants. That was an unfortunate situation, unfortunate occurrence that happened. Working with finance and human resources, we reclassified this position, changed some of the job duties as we looked at tropics coming online in the future. Went through and increased this to a grade 13, and we did receive applicants, and we have since filled that.
Thank you. And through the chair, why was the working foreman seasonal title removed?
Through the chairman, the seasonal foreman and seasonal grounds equipment operator positions were all removed from the Parks Department. Given the presence of the seasonal laborer position and the way we tracked hours, really by the hour that seasonal employees worked for the 2025 season, and given that the seasonal laborer position has its own pay schedule, can bring individuals that have more experience in at a different level than individuals who are just starting off for the first time. We no longer needed the flexibility of those positions of working foreman and grounds equipment operator, given the fact that we can bring everyone in as a seasonal laborer, creates it a lot simpler situation, both for the department, finance, human resources.
And then my final question through the chair is, can you explain the addition of the golf services coordinator and why the golf professional seasonal title decreased by 1 FTE?
Through the chair, the golf professional, that job title required a specific designation from the PGA. Very similar situation with the supervisor of aquatic life support systems. We post that annually, have not had any candidates. As a result, we seek to change this from a golf professional to a golf services coordinator, an individual who can work at the golf course, do a similar style job as a golf professional, but not conduct lessons. Thank you.
Legislator Bartholomew McCoy.
Yes, through the chair, on the topic of golf, page 613, can you talk about the temporary help, the increase of 300K, almost 300K? What is that about?
613.
Yes, 613. It's an increase of 259K.
Through the chair, that increase is really related to what we actually spend each year.
Through the chair, so looking at what you spent in previous years, this is an increase to match that?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, yield.
Legislator Sinclair.
Through the chair, on page 613, Parks and Golf, why does the leasing vehicles increase by 415,000?
Through the chair, that really is a reflection of a commitment item change. So that was budgeted on another line. It's just being moved to leasing of vehicles this year.
Thank you. And through the chair, page 712, Parks, Seneca Park Zoo. Why is the hotel motel tax revenue increasing by 150,000?
Through the chair, that's the hotel motel tax revenue supports the zoo and staff and labor costs and everything that goes on at the zoo is one of a cultural and arts venues that any county resident can go to and enjoy. So we are supporting the zoo with that funding this year.
Thank you. I yield.
Legislator Johns.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of brevity, I know it's getting late, but I just have one big, beautiful question to ask. It's my understanding that 85% of the budget is mandated by the state. And the budget is 1.5 billion approximately. About 1.3 billion is mandated, meaning it's mandatory that we spend on these programs. So we have done, I think, a good job keeping the increase in spending under 2%. And, but I just want the public that may be watching on YouTube or maybe watching the instant replay to understand that the county executive and the county legislature did not get together and spend another $30 million in discretionary spending, that it's because of the mandates that's placed upon us, no matter what the costs are. Increases in, union contracts, CBAs, collective bargaining agreements, insurance, gas and electric, all those increases we have to absorb and spend because we're mandated by the state to have to do it. Isn't that correct?
It's a tough yes or no question.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Through the chair, yes, to the extent things are mandated, we have to account for the increases in those mandates. Yes.
I would point out that when we enter into a collective bargaining agreement, it's not like some outside force has come in and bullied us into agreeing to it, right? So that it's not like there's no control there. We come to an agreement. And in fact, I think it's fair to say that salaries and benefits are the main driver of increased spending in the budget. Would that be fair to say, Chief Finance Officer?
That is correct. I think overall throughout the county, increases to salary and benefits is somewhere on the order of $40 million.
So, I mean, they're mandated in the sense that contracts are contracts.
Oh,
But absolutely not to be argumentative because you're right about so much other stuff.
no, I'm pro-union. I'm not against union contracts. Let the record show that. But I just wanted people to understand that if you have a rental property and insurance goes up or any kind of costs go up, water, whatever it is, snow plowing, you are obligated to spend those increases, and that's what the county is. And I think the county, the legislature and the executive branch have done a pretty good job keeping it to the minimum that it is.
Thank you, legislator. Now, we did have a hearing about Monroe Community College and they did present, but what questions do we have this tonight from our committee regarding the Monroe Community College budget, if any? I think it's important to note that the contribution rate that the increases recently were stepped down. The request was more than the actual. And I think that I'm on the board of trustees. Obviously, the community college wants all the support it can get. But in recognition of a tough budget year, that request wasn't met 100%. So that leaves us with authorized agencies, principal tourism entities, arts, cultural, and educational entities. And if we want to dig into the motel hotel tax, you can. Any questions from the committee around those issues? Last year, I talked a little bit about, thank you. Last year, administration, we talked about how these numbers were generated, and Mr. Franklin shared that they just kind of accrued year over year. I'm talking about the money that we give to arts, cultural, and educational entities, authorized agencies. And we talked a little bit about maybe some type of a review process for that, other than just incremental changes year over year. Has there been any review? And I'm talking about the list from Blue Cross Arena at the top to WXXI at the bottom. Has there been any review internally similar to the review that our friends in the Parks Department were talking about for the way they set fees, et cetera?
To the chair, these are reviewed every year. There's certainly, I think there's more conversations about like the Community Midsize Arts Support Awards, because that is an application process that people submit. But these are reviewed. In fact, one of the entities that we typically fund, well, I think that's on the, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what list it's on. There is one entity that we removed this year because they failed to provide information to us in a time and or request, answer emails and requests for information. So it is reviewed, it is looked at.
Yeah. The contributions to agencies decreased by 107,000. Is that accountable to the one entity that kind of fell off the radar and didn't file paperwork properly?
That was a reduction of 86,500.
Okay, my notes might be wrong. Okay. Any further questions for the administration regarding the 2026 budget? I want to thank the committee for their excellent questions. We'll move on. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the October 27, 2025 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
25-0345, acceptance of a grant from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, amend the 2025-2030 Capital Improvement Program and the 2025 capital budget to add a project entitled AIDS Remembrance Garden Rehabilitation and authorize financing for the project.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Bartholomew McCoy, seconded by legislator Hasman. Is there any discussion? Legislator McCabe.
Just a quick question on what is the timeline for this project to be completed?
At this time, for completion, Q2 2027.
Question from me. Did the Parks Committee make an application for this grant due to the deteriorating condition of the memorial? Is this more a restoration, or will it be a overhaul with the new elements added?
Mr. Chairman, it would be more of the latter. The existing garden, built in 1993, actually, constructed, ground broken in 1993, is still in existence today at Highland Park. That said, the Assemblymember Bronson came to the department with a concept for additional funding to renovate and rejuvenate some of the gardens and botanicals at that location. In addition, there'll be some review once the consultant is onboarded and a steering committee established for the restoration of benches that are in the areas, other hardscaping associated with the gardens, and a review of all the existing walkways to review if it's ADA compliant.
Well, kudos to Legislator Bronson. We appreciate his leadership. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item.
25-0347, acceptance of a grant from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, amend the 2025-2030 capital improvement program and the 2025 capital budget to add a project entitled Seneca Park Recreational Access Improvements and authorize financing for the project.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Bartholomew McCoy, seconded by legislator Hasman. Is there any discussion? I have a quick comment. These facilities, I've seen them in Fairport, I've seen them in other places, are so appreciated by folks who are seeking access to fully ADA accessible recreation. So what a spectacular initiative. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item.
25-0351, authorizing a license agreement with Bella Events Group LLC for the 2026 Rochester Pride Festival.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by legislator Bartholomew McCoy, seconded by legislator Hasman. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? There are none. There being no other matters, we wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and this meeting stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Recreation Education Committee will be Monday, December 15th at 6 p.m.